friends, it's me Disco, and today we're going to be talking about my plans for Orctober 2025. So, I love orcs. Orcs and goblins have always been like my favorite faction in any of these kind of Warhammer or like just generic fantasy worlds in general. And I really want to do a big army project for Orctober. So my goal is I kind of want to try to build and paint as many orcs as possible. I'm going to be focused on, for Age of Sigmar, Orruk Warclans army. I specifically am doing an Ironjawz force. The purpose of this video is I'm going to be talking about kind of my ideas for different color schemes, what I kind of want to do for basing, and just kind of planning out the army in general. I'm going to be aiming for a tabletop standard for the paint kind of job, so I'm not going to be going too crazy, but, I want it to look nice. So when I'm playing with people, you can show off a little bit. And also just makes it more fun when you're playing, and both people have put a lot of time and care into their armies. One thing I want to do to stretch and, just be better, I hate basing. Basing in tabletop war games for me is a drudgery that I do not enjoy, and I know that I could enjoy it if I just spend some time to try. And so regardless of what color scheme I go for, one of my goals is going to be trying to push myself to spend more time on the basing, try to make it look nicer, and just put in that extra effort. And lastly, I'd like to learn how to play the Ironjawz. And it's been, so my kind of history is I've been into Warhammer for a very long time. I was into Warhammer Fantasy back in the day. I started as when I was much younger, in the late 90s. So yeah, I've been around for a while, but I haven't actually played Age of Sigmar since the 2nd edition, and as of the time of recording, we're in the 4th edition. So I'm definitely behind, and part of the work I'm going to be doing is kind of learning how to play this current edition, learning how army building works, and just kind of going from there. So my current status is I have built an Ardboy Big Boss and 2 Weird Nod Shamans, the normal one, and then I'm going to use this one from Headcracker's Mad Mob as a proxy for a second one. And these are going to be my models that I use to do tests, basically. I'm going to use them to try out the different color schemes that I'm considering, which I'll be talking about in the upcoming slides. And yeah, so those are going to be my guinea pigs, basically. And then models I haven't started for this is I have 9 of the Brute Ragers / Weird Brute Rekkas. I don't know exactly what number of each I'm going to do. I definitely want at least 1 unit of each, and then I'll have to decide which one gets the extra unit, or, enough units, enough models to make a reinforced unit. 20 Hardboys, 10 Brutes. I have the box of Orc Manifestations, 1 Mega Boss, and then 3 of the Big Pigs. I really like the Maw Gruntas. And so this force that I'm starting, and this isn't a full army or anything, but I definitely wanted Big Pigs to be the kind of backbone of the army. So yeah, I'm not intending to do a big skew list where I'm only running pigs. But I would like the force to kind of lean in a pigward direction. So going into my thoughts on the theme and color scheme, this is my old army. So this is back, like I said, back kind of around 2nd edition, I had built and painted this Ironjawz army. I went with kind of a Martian Earth kind of basing, and if you can see in the picture, it's a little far away, but I really phoned it in. I used some of the Crackle Martian Earth paint and threw some random kind of army painter burnt shrubs everywhere, and it looked bad. I didn't really like the way it looked. So this time around, I do want to spend more time and make sure that the basing looks good. And then for the color scheme, as you can see, I did kind of a bone color with some red accents. I used a lot of speed paints for this because I was kind of getting back into the hobby and really trying, but like feeling rusty. And so, yeah, speed paints were like a big help for me to kind of just get it done and get it finished. And I was pretty happy with them, but life things happened, and I ended up having to sell this army, and I've kind of regretted it ever since because I loved having an orc army, and I want to have one again, and so that's kind of the purpose of this. And I also want to try something different. I don't want to recreate this. I want to go different direction. And like I was pretty comfortable painting this, and I know I could do a better job if I were to do this scheme again. But yeah, I think it's better to try something new. Try some different color palettes. Speaking of which, we're gonna go down and talk about like just the different ideas I'm entertaining. So I like the idea of a clan that's living in the realm of fire. I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Ashki? Ashkai? I'm not sure. Anyways, someone can correct me. But yeah, I like the idea of like having some orcs in the realm of fire. The bases, I consider the idea of doing like lava flows, like cracked earth, maybe try to do some object source lighting. In terms of difficulty for basing, this is probably the most intense one that I'm kind of entertaining. I really like the idea of it, and even if I don't pick this one for Orctober, I'm definitely like this is something I do want to try with one of my other armies that I'm planning on building. So yeah, but I do really like this idea. And then for the armor, I thought it would be nice maybe to have chrome or something that could reflect the light from the lava flows, to practice that kind of object source lighting style technique. And then for skin tones, maybe deeper greens and kind of go towards yellow for the highlights, and then brownish reds in the shadows of the skin tone. And then I found this picture. This is from one of the older army books, and this is for Skybasha Warclans. And so it'd be something kind of like this, but with less red on the armor itself, because the little checks and stuff would be replaced basically by object source lighting coming from the base up because of the lava flows. So like that's one idea that I think is pretty cool. My second idea is an orc clan that lives in Shaish, Realm of Death. Again, I'm just guessing at how that's pronounced. I've only ever read it. But this one would have graveyard earth, kind of muddy, some dead plants, maybe get some little broken tombstones or other kind of like scenery bits to put on the bases. This one's a little bit easier to do. This is like a lower stretch for me for sure. But, adding a little bit more flavor, I think, would make this look pretty good. And so this is a little more obtainable, I think, in terms of difficulty for the basing. But yeah, so that's that. And then for armor, I have a couple ideas. I kind of think, maybe they could do something rusted, like they've been looting the metal off of the undead, and that's how they're kind of hammering their armor together with a bunch of like rusty pieces of metal. Or using armor that's kind of black or like a darker gray, or possibly a purple. I think purple could also be pretty good. And then for skin tone, I had kind of a fun idea about doing like ghost orcs. Like, looking in this picture here, like, this is the kind of color scheme you'll see for like Night Haunt and some other undead stuff. This kind of turquoisey, glowing kind of material. And I was like, that could be really cool if you painted the orc skin that way. Like they're, orc spirits that have animated their previous armor that they wore before they died. So I thought that could be a really cool path to go down. I don't know how I'd do that, but like that's kind of the fun of this, is trying to figure that thing out, like figure out how to do it. So yeah, ghost orcs are kind of a cool idea, or like doing something really pale green, like kind of making them look like they're kind of sickly. And that might also be an interesting place to try doing some like kind of very thin, like glaze consistency washes for like the extremities, like the the lips and the tips of fingers and stuff like that to like give them like a little pinkness or whatever, even though they look so sickly and kind of pale. So that's another idea I have, is kind of doing this. And then the last one is a more kind of typical orc vibe, which is just a clan that lives in Gur, the realm of beasts. And I've always been in love with this color scheme of like the blue with the checker patterns. I know that painting that many checkers across an army is going to be painful, but it could be cool. Like I do kind of like that. For the basing, you could do anything. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility with any of these like realms, but I would probably lean toward like kind of like a steps style basing for these guys. To also kind of go with the fact that I would like this to be like a largely mounted force. Right now I only have the 3 big pigs and a bunch of foot people, but I might want to get some more pigs at some point down the road. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking that. And then for skin tone, I'd probably leave these kind of with a more Games Workshop traditional orc skin tone, like kind of mid-tone greens. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking for these guys. And yeah, my next steps are picking one of those color schemes or something else if I happen to think of it, and then doing a test model. So my next steps is going to be actually doing a test model and trying to, whatever I land on, experiment and kind of figure out what I like the look of. And then if I finish that test model and I'm happy with it, I can record those steps because I'll be filming it. That's my intention, at least, is to film the steps of doing that and any mistakes I make in the process. And then just kind of going from there. And then once I have that kind of set up, we can start moving forward with everything else. Which would be magnetizing my bases. So that's just, I store my miniatures as magnets. I just find this to be the nicest way to do it for me personally. I've had a lot of stuff get damaged in foam. Or like, because if you're taking things in and out of foam cases, it's, you can snap off little spear tips and damage them in a bunch of different ways. So I like magnets. That's a pretty small step, but with a bunch of stuff, I'm basically doing all of them at once. So it's going to take me a little time. And then I'm also going to do the basing. I want to kind of have a video dedicated specifically to preparing the bases. And since I want to make more effort into making the bases look nice, normally I glue miniatures to the base and then do the basing kind of around them. And I might try to do it the opposite way this time. And once I've got these magnetized, I may do a video where I'm just focused on preparing all of the bases for everything all at the same time. And that way I'm kind of doing it and they all look consistent and, hopefully they look good in that respect. And then assembling all my models. I'm considering trying to live stream this. I'll have to work out the logistics of whether or not that's possible for me. And if it's not, then I'll probably just do like a time-lapse video where I'm kind of recording the process of building everything, because that's a really time-consuming part of this, is going to be going through, clipping everything out, sanding everything, and trying to make it look nice. And then lastly, it'll be painting. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. So one thing I would point out is just that, like, it's unlikely I'm going to finish all of this during October. And that's okay. Because for me, I really love orcs, and this is just going to be my project for the rest of the year, probably. So I'm going to try to do it as quickly as I can, because I would like to, get it done. But, yeah, I'm just going to be kind of focused on this and doing everything I need to do to get it done. And then if I decide to expand this orc army, because I probably would want to, because I don't have everything for the force. And also, I need to learn how to play, and I might decide that, I need more Ardboys, or I need more Brutes, or whatever. So, it's likely that down the road, I'll want to expand the army, and, these videos will be a good reference for myself, too, just so I can go back and remember how I did everything. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. I know this is kind of a different style of video, but I'm probably going to be doing this before each new project because I like making armies. And so for me, I think a lot of my projects are going to be a little bit bigger. And I do want to plan them a little bit ahead of time just to make sure I'm not, you know, doing it without planning just leads to a lot of headaches later. And I just want to throw this out here. If you have recommendations for good channels talking about Orruk Warclans or Gloomspite Gits or whatever, please feel free to drop me a comment and let me know, because I'm always looking for good channels. And there's like a lot of content creators out there who are really cool, who are doing a lot of neat stuff. And I just, you know, like a lot of people, I don't have enough time in the day to watch all that. So I'm happy to take recommendations if you guys know of any good content creators for that stuff. And then also, if you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking my videos. And if not, that's okay too. And remember, be kind to yourself and make time for your hobbies. Okay, see you in the next videos.